Hi guys, my name is Smesk and this is a brief tutorial on how to separate the layers and the colors to do linear halftone CMYK stencil like this of David Bowie. So let's get started. For this tutorial I'm gonna use this image of Marilyn Monroe. Once you have selected your image, the first thing you need to do is to delete the background. So I use the lasso tool to delete it, and something like this. Once you have deleted all the background of your image, you can start to work with your CMYK colors and layers. So I'm gonna close this image, and I have here one image with all the background deleted. So the next thing I'm going to do is to adjust the brightness and the contrast of the image. This is for have a better color of the image. So I'm gonna so once you have a good look of the color of your image, you are going to you're going to posterize the image, and this is for separate the layers of the color, and this will help you with to the definition of your image once you have the different layers and the halftone effect applied to the image. So I'm going to image mode, I'm going to image adjustments, then posterize, and here I'm going to select the number of layers. For this image I'm going to use 12 layers. Then the next step is to select the image, and I'm gonna put it in a new file. Copy. I'm going to File, New. Here I'm going to select the size of the file. I'm gonna use the letter size, and this is important, you need to choose the color mode to color CMYK. I'm gonna paste my image, and I'm gonna adjust the size of the image. Well, we have the image ready to start to separate the colors. So I'm gonna select the layer of the image, and I'm gonna select this up, right click on the layer, and then I'm gonna select flatten image. Now I'm going to select the channels, and in this menu I'm gonna select split channels, and as you can see you're gonna have 4 different files, one for each color. I have black, yellow, magenta, and cyan. Now we are ready to apply the halftone effect for each layer, and before we start with the halftone effect, it's important to know that for CMYK printing you will need to choose the right angle for each color, and as you can see, this is the most common angles for CMYK printing. For yellow you need use 0 degrees, for cyan 15 degrees, black 45 degrees, and magenta 75 degrees. Now I'm gonna start with the black layer. I'm going to image mode, bitmap, and here you're gonna select as method the halftone option. So in the next window you gonna choose the number of lines per inch that you want to have. I'm gonna select 7.5. in the angle as we saw before. For the black color I'm gonna use 45 degrees, and in form or mode I'm gonna select line. Okay, and as you see we have the halftone effect for the black color. The next step is assign the color for these layers. So I'm going to image mode, black scale, and left the factor size at 1. Next I'm going again to image mode, duotone, and here I'm going to select the color of this layer in the CMYK mode. I'm going to select black. Okay, and finally I'm gonna change the mode of the image again to CMYK. I'm going to image mode and CMYK. I'm gonna repeat this step for all the layers. So I'm going to yellow. First we're going to apply the halftone effect, so I'm going to image mode, bitmap, halftone, and for yellow I'm gonna use 0 degrees. Next I'm going to image mode, grayscale. Okay, image mode, duotone. I'm gonna select yellow, and image mode, color CMYK. I'm going to the magenta layer. I'm going to image mode, bitmap. Here I'm gonna use 75 degrees. Okay, then I'm going to image mode, grayscale, image mode, color CMYK. Oh, sorry. I'm gonna first I need to put the color, so I'm going to image mode, duotone, magenta, and I'm gonna change the mode to CMYK. And finally I'm going to the cyan layer, image mode, bitmap. Here I'm going to use 15 degrees for cyan. I'm going to image mode, grayscale, image mode, duotone, and here I'm going to select cyan. And finally image mode and color CMYK. Well, at this point we already have one layer for each color, but before we go to print the layers for start cutting our stencil, we want to know how we will look the final result of our stencil. To do that, I'm going to create a new file. First, I'm gonna copy the image. I'm going to start with black. I'm going to a new file. Okay, and I paste my image. And then I'm going to paste all the layers in one file. And select, copy, and paste to the final file. Next, magenta, select, copy, and paste. And finally, the cyan color. Select, copy, and I will paste to the final file. Now I have all the layers and colors in the same file. To see the final result of the HALFTONE CMYK stencil, I'm gonna put the black layer always on top, and this is the order you're going to paint your stencil. You're going to paint first the yellow, then the magenta, cyan, and finally the black. Always the last color you're going to paint is black. To see the final result of the stencil, I'm gonna hide these layers, and with only the black layer selected, I'm going to this drop down menu, and I'm gonna choose multiply. Then I hide the black layer and going to the cyan and apply the same the same option. It's multiply. I'm hide this, and I'm going to do the same for magenta. In the yellow layer, I'm gonna let the option in normal, and I'm gonna show all the layers. And as you will see, you can have a good idea of which gonna be the result of your stencil. So you are ready to print each layer, and after make some cuts, you can apply your spray paint and have your stencil ready. Don't forget to make the bridge for when you're cutting the stencil. This is important. You can do it here with the lasso tool also, but I prefer do it once I'm cutting the stencil. For me, it's easier to do it, but this step is very important. So this is all. That are all the steps that you need to follow to make this kind of stencil. I hope this is helpful for you, and you can make stencils with this technique. So thank you guys.